Hello, I'm Chris Athanas. I had to get the microphone over here. I'm Chris Athanas. I'm a KMP developer. The tech support said they're coming out to close that portal up tomorrow or Tuesday. We'll see. Today I'm going to be reacting to an internet video still along the lines of comparing adventure-driven development to big tech companies and why creative people, creative types have a real hard time. And people see a better way of doing things have a real hard time in these environments. And this guy broke it down pretty good. He needs to ease off on the sugar and the wheat, in my opinion, but he's got some solid opinions here. Here we go.
So it seems like big tech jobs are losing their glamour. We can see in this article over here. The great tech talent exodus. Why are top devs leaving and how to keep them? The tech industry is facing a talent exodus. Top developers and engineers are leaving big tech companies in droves, lured by higher salaries, remote work opportunities, and better work-life balance at startups and smaller firms.
Exactly. Because you know what? The people figured out they get up into this level, the silver horde, some of them, a small number can see that this is unacceptable. I'm willing to do what it takes. Like, I'm willing to be the creator that has to also come along with the destruction. You just can't complain about, like, oh yeah, everybody complains. It's not hard to complain. You can actually see something, but seeing the exact one thing that needs to get eliminated and then coming back in with the myriad of ideas of the way these things could be fixed, and then coming up with the one or several that bring it up, that bring the new thing into creation. Yeah, that's what this is about. So people at Google are in these like silver hordes, right? They're doing work for somebody else, living somebody else's dream. They're not going after the happiness, which is up here, right? Which is going after the ultimate epic quest. And we use all the products, the people that that did this quest and made it, right? We use their products, but people think people have been convinced, right, that the corporation that does it, right? It's like, no, that's not how it works. It's always this kind of person who's goes off on a lark and thinks he can get something done different, better, faster, cheaper, more fun, more enjoyable. And it's just that in most corporations, the corporate environment is just not. It's pretty much all of them, right? They can only deal with a little bit of that at a time, not how these guys want to just wipe it all out and start from scratch. Let's keep going. So it's like they're leaving the big companies. They're lured by high salaries. Well, not necessarily. Sometimes the salaries aren't as high. The remote work, yeah, that's a thing. Or better work life, but some people don't like to work as much as others. But but the work life balance at startups, it's going to be more work. But if you are enjoying it, as the creator destroyers like to do, not enjoying it like I get to take off early because I don't really care and I've gotten done doing something else. You should really be at a corporation to do that, right? For the work-life balance, it really should be try and get yourself into management in one of these corporations, because if you go to a startup, you're definitely not going to be getting work-life balance. So this is a little bit confused here.
So just a few years ago, working for companies like Google, Meta, Amazon used to be the jobs that everyone wanted to work. But now increasingly, from reading online, it seems like the best programmers are actually opting to not work for these companies in favor of other opportunities. And by extension, this similar trend is happening for similar reasons in the entire tech industry.
And it's been like that all the time. Like, that's just the thing. It's like a lot of people that get into the business, they're like doing software development. They've only got a few years of experience, so they haven't seen the cycles and the things that these companies do to hype each other and to avoid competition during where things could be critical periods. They will actually snipe off other developments that may cause problems with just to get rid of the product and get them out of the loop. Yeah, that's definitely a thing.
As a whole. So in this video, I will tell you what these people have realized that is making them choosing to not work these coveted top tech jobs anymore, and also what these top developers are seemingly choosing to do instead, as well as my personal experience and my personal conclusions on what this means for you if you want to become a software engineer. But to understand what happened to big tech jobs, we first need to understand what are the reasons that made these jobs so popular in the first place. Reason number one is the obvious one: compensation. In the boom years of the tech industry, we had this crazy situation where
that's what it's been recently. Now, when I got involved with it in the early days of my computer, it was just like, this is really interesting. It was like, oh, we're just like discovering stuff that's new. We didn't even know was available or possible. So we were in this creator destroyer phase, like destroying the old way, which is for me was pencil and paper, right? Because I didn't have a computer, and someone's bringing creates a computer or something I can get into, like that I don't have to wire together myself. Yeah, you're giving me a step up. So I've new vistas are opened up. So, and there's some people that are going to go on that vista. Now, recently in the last 15 years, yes, with a zero interest rate policy environment where people got free money and there was this go for broke on anything. Yeah, it was compensation. Yeah, so you're like, dude, you're gonna pay me how much for doing that? And you go do a tutorial too, and it's like, you're paying how much for that? Like, yes, that's how much they were paying at the time. Now that's changing as we have the zero interest rate environment goes away, and you actually have to apply real solutions to real problems that people are having. That's gonna, you can't just do pie in the sky free money forever. That's not available now.
You could get rich potentially very, very fast simply by getting a regular job 9 to 5 working for one of these big tech companies because they were paying so much to attract top talent. But now we're seeing these tech companies generally cutting their compensation. It's not always that obvious that this is happening. The way they're doing this is using some...
So this guy, look, he's pretty young. He's maybe 30 or so. I'm way older than that, and I've seen these cycles go through. So it's just a cycle. It's a business cycle. Anytime you think it's going to be hype forever, and everyone's saying yes, it's going to be hype forever, no one's not saying that. Oh yeah, it's about to be over. And when everybody's going, oh, it's over, it's dead, it's done, it can't be happened, nothing will happen again, that's about to start again.
Some slightly sneaky tactics to like reduce the stock compensation while still making it seem like the compensation is as good as it was before. I made a full deep dive on exactly how they're cutting compensation here that you can watch right there. The second reason is the quality of life. Now, the thing with most high-paying jobs is that they absolutely suck. I remember when I was getting into tech, I was reading some of these Reddit posts where someone was saying like,
oh, my company is making me work 50 hours a week. This is crazy. This is inhumane. No one should have to work 50 hours a week.
And I was just laughing to myself because as someone who used to work in banking, I know that it's very common for high-paying investment bankers to work 70, 80, up to 100 hours a week. So one of the top reasons I got into tech was that the hours that software engineers have to work to earn these high salaries are super, super low compared to most other high-paying jobs.
Well, okay, that's the marketing brochure, but you actually get into these companies. Oh yeah, you're doing 50, 60, 70 hours sometimes, and sometimes more than not. I mean, they'll burn people out. They don't care. Some of the work is just so cookie cutter, the same thing, and like using this stuff that's been like, if you master a legacy technology, there's always gonna be work for it, because there's always people gonna need like, oh, let's just fix this one little bug over here. It's like, oh, it's more than one little bug, sir.
Most with similar salaries. But now that is also changing a bit for a couple of reasons, but we'll get back to that in a moment. And the third reason why everyone wanted these jobs was that tech was simply cool. Everyone wanted to work for these.
I mean, the marketing blitz made it cool, but it's been the same thing since day one. Like, it's been 70 years, 60 years, whatever we started using these computers in this way. They've always tried to make it look cool or whatever to certain people, right? Certain people, I mean, when I was growing up, it was definitely not cool at all. It was really like, what do you do? It was like, it was thought of as Magic the Gathering cards when I got into it. So it turned into this cool thing, and I think that was the marketing departments got involved, because it definitely wasn't cool for a long time.
These cool tech companies with this cool work culture where you could build new, cool, interesting things.
See, that's this people here. Like, ooh, we get to play and do something. It's like, well, it's more here. It's this people over here. Now, the marketing was focused for these people because they need to come in and like fix bugs and like run stuff, because these guys are just not really good into the running thing. They're not. They'll make it. They'll create it. They'll get it going. They'll refine it. Whatever they can do to some make it different. They're not going to run it. They're not going to come in and run it. As soon as it's running, it's going well. They're going to cash out and go to another Vista. So right here, this arrow keeps going, man. They dropped one off of Google, did its thing, got the golden cup, and started going on to the next thing. And a lot of times the things are like, you went on to do what? Like Ken Thompson, after he created Unix, right? Just casually creates an operating system that changes the entire environment and kicks off the microcomputer. Casually, he goes into audio compression algorithms and like trying to like hook up old jukeboxes with modern software, but still playing on a player piano. Like, what are you doing? Like, yeah, Unix was just a platform to get me onto the player piano.
And this is also, again, one of the reasons I got into coding. It wasn't just for the money. It was for the money and the fact that I could actually do interesting work that is fulfilling. Because, again, the past jobs I worked in bank.
Well, okay, you're lucky there. Interesting work that is fulfilling, yeah. So sometimes it's fun to like work on problems for people, but that's really has to have somebody's actually be solving someone's problem somewhere. It can't be a fake kind of would nice to have. It's got to be actually be a real problem people are having, or a solution that's more enjoyable, faster, quicker, cheaper, all the things that people would want them to be. It has to be like substantially more to sustain it, more than what they have now. So sometimes those are interesting. Like, oh, it's fulfilling. But if the I think the people who are driven to adventure-driven stuff, they actually have a kind of a certain kind of problem they want to work on, or they just like working on the tech and applying it to a problem. And if people are getting something out of it, more the better. That's kind of how most people in tech are. They would like to see a problem solved, and if it's a problem that they had themselves or they can empathize with, it makes it much more enjoyable. So I think that's what he's talking about, fulfilling. Now, he's trying to still do it at these companies, and what's happening now is you kind of have to do it yourself. That's why I'm pushing this adventure driven stuff. It's like, it's not, this isn't really meant, this isn't a drop-in program for companies. This is the attitude you have to take when you've had enough time in the tunnels of fake agile doom and enough tar pits of seemingly good ideas where you do copycat stuff. A lowest price leader. Oh, I just do lowest price leader, trying to make a market or something. Or the big design up front dungeon grind where you're going into these big corporations and fixing a couple bugs, right? And we just want a couple little enhancements here and there, and you're working on somebody else's project and the way they put it together, right? Or you're in a lead mine. Like, once you've done enough of these down here, you can come and start to make an attack here and look for the cave ventures, which is like, is there any market here? Is the thing I want to do, is anybody willing to pay for it, right? And is it worth enough time dinking around with it? Is the cup large enough, right? Like, I can sustain this thing. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it is, and then it isn't. Sometimes it isn't, and then it is. So a lot of stuff is timing and luck. That's why it's adventure, man. You don't know what you're going to find exactly. But this is how all these things came to be. They didn't come to be from this top-down functionality. No, I mean, no. They came from individual people going deep into some area and then hooking up with somebody else that's got a market that they see a problem that can be solved in that way, right? That's why I'm a big proponent of the KMP, because it's like one language, and one person can do, 4 platforms. They can do web, iOS, Android, desktop, and watches, and the back end, all one language, all one set of libraries, instead of dicking around with all these different things and 16 different teams for all the different things. Now,
banking, consulting were the most soul-draining work I have ever done. And while that is still true in some extent, and coding is still extremely cool, the reality of a lot of these big...
The coding is extremely cool. I don't know. I think when you first learn it, it's like when you get a hammer or a drill. I don't know if you ever, a lot of these people haven't played with like hand tools and like still haven't. It's like, okay, the hand tools, interesting. You can put holes and stuff, right? But what you do with it is the real goal. It's not, oh, I have the most special hammer, like some of the autists. Like, I'm a mildly autistic, right? So I understand this. Is the autists go, oh, it's the hammer. Oh, I like the hammer. Oh, it's so much fun hammering. It's like, I don't think you're getting it, buddy. I think we're supposed to like build a house or a dog shed or a car or we're actually making something. Oh, the hammer. It's like, no, the hammer is not it. And by the way, you're going to replace that hammer many times. So don't get enamored with the hammer. It's going to turn into a power hammer or a micro hammer or something. It's going to be something else. So that you have to hammer to get something done, to build a house. Yes, you must hammer. But the hammering is it. It's like, no, the hammering is not it.
Big tech jobs, and also all software engineering jobs, to be fair, at bigger companies, is that their work is no longer as exciting as it perhaps...
Oh, it's no longer exciting. Oh, you think you're going to do real exciting work, but just do it. It's the same crap, man. But it's how you do it, the way you do it, the way you approach the problem for the customer, how the customer hears about your stuff. A lot of it's like ethics, art, philosophy, psychology, empathy, taste. It's all that stuff. Oh, it's no longer exciting. Oh, because you're being handed down what the thing's supposed to look like from someone on high has already figured it out, and all you have to do is implement, okay? That's all they want you to do, right? And it's this thing. It's like I'm in a bug mine. Like, yes, you like the coding or you like the hammer. Oh, you like the hammer? We'll give you here's some hammering. And like, oh, it's no longer fun to hammer.
Once was. So these are the main reasons.
Yeah, it's because the hammering is not it. It's this building something, solving someone's problem with that damn hammer.
Why everyone wanted these jobs. Now let's look at what has actually happened to these reasons and what is actually causing people to no longer want these jobs as much as before. The first reason is that it's now just simply more difficult to get rich in tech. And
it's difficult to get rich and the zero interest rate environment's over. You have to actually solve real problems, not fantasy solutions of things that may be a problem at some point, or copycat somebody else's stuff, or let's create social media platforms. Like, no, No, that's over. That's over. Until some other new tech layer, a physical layer of something comes along, it's not going to have that. So what we have the now, there are still many areas that are many problems people are having that these tools can be used and applied by other people, not the companies, not big companies that you know of, no names that you know of, but new companies that will see the go down niche down like Bezos did. Like when in the early days, he was a technical book, rare book warehouse. What the hell? Who cares? Who even reads books now? It's like, who's even reading books? It's like I was. I financed that guy because he got books I could never find that I looked for, and it was impossible. So yeah. So what he did is he's focused in on a narrow audience and nailed it. Not half-assed it. Not phoned it in with work-life balance. Really cared about their customer. And it takes a small team, right? So that's why adventure-driven is 7 people or less. 7 people or less, man. Where is it? Oh, wait, 7 people. Where is it? Right here. Characteristics. Up. I say, where is it? Right. I put it down here. It's like, okay, so it's to be 7 people, right? Maximum 7. Over 7, you're out of the park. You're now no longer adventure driven. You're probably got some traction somewhere, and you're moving into the preserver mode. So I'm talking about adventure driven. I'm talking about bottom up. I'm not talking about top down, new venture. I'm talking about people who are going for the gold cup, who are on the full card, and they're going to see a gold cup, whatever that is, right? And you can't be predefined by somebody else. It's got to be the market. It's got to be the dragon. It's got to be the customer defines and which customer you're going after and how well you do it and how big that place is and how much you care about it, like all that stuff. That's where the stuff came. The stuff you're using right now. That's all the stuff came from.
The reason is, as we discussed, compensation is down. Not only the salaries, but especially the stock compensation. That was leading so many engineers to literally become millionaires in just a couple of years, because not only were you getting a lot of stock in these companies, but the stock prices were also growing at unprecedented pace compared to...
Right, because they're doing their stock buybacks, so it's all fake. So all that stuff, all that fake stuff is done. It's over now. So stop trying to think that's coming back. It's not coming back. It might come back in about 20 years. But right now, it's the people who are willing to still into solving problems with these devices and these tool sets for people that you can find problems for. That honestly, these big companies cannot sustain. You cannot sustain these big companies and start and go niche down. But once you niche down, there's other things there, right? That's the idea. That's the idea. So you don't stay down there. I mean, you maybe it's just a work-life balance business. You got one guy, he runs it off his laptop. That's totally a thing, by the way. And there are many things like that. Now, how do you get traction? It's like you got to do some other stuff. It's just can't put a website up and go, okay. It's like these guys are also very social, right? They're putting in their work other places, but it's not really work to them because they are into it. They are into it. It's happiness is around here. They're on the same journey somehow, some way.
Before. Now, not only do you get less pay, less stock compensation, and also the stocks of these companies can simply not possibly rise as fast as they were when these companies were still growing. Because the thing with these companies now is that they're already established companies. But the other very crucial factor that is pushing people away from these jobs is that the cost of living in these big cities like San Francisco, New York, like London in Europe is going higher and higher and higher with...
Oh, you don't think the people who live there and have been living there their whole lives don't see what's happening and heard on the news, all the crazy salaries, all the people, and all the people coming in wanting to spend their money downtown and doing all the fun things? No, they never heard of it. They didn't know that the commute times are hellish. You don't think they didn't figure that out? And that there's just San Francisco is an area, but it's not magic dirt. But they've made it into magic dirt because of the market. You don't think they've pumped the marketing message and say that you have to be down in these congested cities filled with mentally ill people, that has to be that way? You don't think there have been real estate companies who have been trying to get this, make sure people stayed in these areas instead of maybe go to a different area that doesn't have as much congregation and recreating similar types of atmosphere out there that would just collapse the real estate market? What? Come on, they got friends, man. This is not rocket science. This is not accidental either. This guy's actually pretty young, so it's like, oh, this must be an accident. It's like, no, this is all very intentional, sir.
inflation and the cost of living is outpacing the salary growth, which is meaning less pay, less stock compensation, less stock appreciation, and higher costs for the people living in these cities where they have to work these jobs. And when you couple this with the fact that nowadays these companies are actually forcing people to work from the office again, it's now suddenly much more difficult, well, of course, still not impossible, to get rich by simply working one of these big tech jobs. Second reason is that there are more interesting opportunities elsewhere. So like I said before, in the early days of these big tech companies, they were the cool places to be, where they were building all these cool new things. As an engineer at one of these companies, you could be a part of like changing the world, and there's all this hype around this. But now these companies have become established.
Yes. So, by the way, just want to say, by the time you hear about all the wonderful things that they're doing, they are well past this point here. That they're already getting the creator mode. By the time you hear about these projects and what they're doing and how they're happening, oh my God, the amazing stuff, which most of them were just canceled soon after that, by the way, were designed to capture you. Okay? It wasn't just, oh, we're doing the technology. It's designed to capture you. I know it's hard to believe that people would go this far, but they do.
They've already built their core products. So what happens naturally at any company in its life cycle when it gets to this stage is that focus goes away from building new things to just maintaining existing features. You go from a fast-growing sort of startup-minded company to a more established, like an IBM or an Intel type of company, where work becomes more routine. We can see in this article right here from the BBC, big tech jobs have lost their glamour.
Oh, no, the glamour. Oh, is the zero interest rate environment over? Oh, it's the glamour. It's glamour's over. I gotta say, all work sucks. Look here. I got a little section here. Where is it? Right here. All this work sucks. Okay, programming is a boring, tiresome, frustrating job. It's never going to be not that. It's always going to be like that because that's just how the nature of the work is. Even with AI, it's still going to be this. You can leverage it. It makes things a little bit easier, but there's still going to be these goddamn ants. You got to get rid of them. Right? These are all the little things, the little annoying little fucking things you have to do to get something done. Right? That doesn't go away. If you're working for the big guys or those startups, it doesn't go away. It's always the same. Oh, it sucks. Yeah, that's what they pay you for. The reason why it sucks is because they pay you. They pay you because it sucks. Because it is, and you're taking chances, right? Here's opportunity cost, right? I could do something else with my life, right? I could be doing something else, and then dealing with these damn bugs, and so I gotta be compensated because smart people just won't put up with it, right? So it's like, well, if I'm compensated for it, I don't mind fighting the bugs, and if I'm armed well, if I got a torch and a nice sword, okay, let's go, let's get in there, let's clear out these goddamn bugs.
And people are saying tech was the place to be. Before layoffs, tech companies were renowned for workplace cultures that serviced employees with free benefits and premium amenities in state of...
Yeah, that was a very brief moment in time when they were pumping up the stock, when they needed flushing up the people because they could see, oh my God, it's the most amazing company ever. We better buy their stock. This is like a stock pump. This is a pump and dump right here. This is a stock pump right here. Now, some places can do it, and some places are flexing, other places that can't do it. And they're stealing the talent at a moment in time when it's very important that they did not have much competition. This is Henry Ford did the same thing. You think you do the 40-hour work week and raise the top salaries because he was a nice guy? Like, that's the marketing lingo, but the reason why he did it is because there was a bunch of manufacturers who were stealing their workers away because they were just paying a little bit more than him. He's like, no, fuck that. I'm going to pay up here, and I'm going to give people weekends. And so they can enjoy it with their family. So these people who are super talented and have this tacit knowledge that I can't document and I can't replicate right now, I need to make them stop going to these other companies or causing me competition. And he's completely dried up the competition. There's only a few left after he did that stuff. And it stuck. And he kept going because, it just made sense that it was like, we're going to kick that flat. But eventually they got back into it. But you know what I'm saying?
Of the offices. But now people are saying that I no longer feel inspired, or that buzz when I first stepped.
Oh, she doesn't have the buzz when she first stepped in the office. The first day when you're jumping off the cliff into the unknown. Oh, you fell down, didn't quite work out the way you wanted. Well, no shit. That's on the journey up to the thing. So she thought she was up here. But she didn't know she was down here. She was down here somewhere. Oh, no shit. This sucks down here. Welcome to the United States of America, where you're given a marketing thing until we milk the hell out of it. and you can't figure out what's going on until it's too late. Like you're old like me.
Into the office. So where are people going instead? Well, first of all, startups. Because startups will give you equity and they will give you more of a stake in actually building the product of the company because it's a more early stage company. You're progressing much faster. You get more responsibility.
Well, I mean, maybe. Sometimes, you know, I mean, the responsibility is like you get it done or we're done. I mean, and you better have the skills collected from down here and they better be the right skills, right? Not the ones that waste time, the ones that, you know, give us time back. You're like how are you going to learn this stuff? How are you going to learn what's necessary to come up here? It's like, oh, just do a startup. Oh yeah, they mostly all fail, by the way. So there's all this opportunity cost. It's like my startup failed. Well, it's like most of them do. I mean, most businesses. Oh, newsflash here: most businesses fail. All the big companies that were like huge giants in the '80s, '90s, and early 2000s, gone. And everybody's like, oh my God, they're the most of me. It's like they're gone. And that's just how it is in America. So don't go like, oh, I'm going to get the most cushy job ever at a startup and it's always going to be the same forever. It's like, no, you're taking crazy risks here. You're taking crazy, there's no guarantee. What are you talking about? I'm going to go to a startup, I'm going to make more money. It's like, no, you might be out of it at a job and doing a job search for a long time. Now that maybe that skill that you thought was going to take off didn't take off. Oh.
Product of the company because it's a more early stage company. You're progressing much faster. You get more responsibility and therefore probably a more interesting team dynamic as well. And I can say this from
I mean, the only reason we get the interesting team dynamic is because you are on a team of other adventurers who are like kind of like I guess it would be like it's not mercenaries, but your guys are all coming together as a kind of team of experts, right? So that's the reason why you get the time dynamic, because these guys have both been through a lot of fucking shit. A lot of bullshit. Like he's still working at HP at this point probably. And this guy's like, I'm trying to make sales and you're screwing it up, Woz. Like you know, it's like they're in the middle and in the muck of it. Now, there was a lot of guys like this. There was a lot of guys. Now these guys were just the guys that made it, but there was a ton of other ones that just you never heard of and never will hear of, and they weren't going anywhere, and they tried and they flailed out and like, ghost story, it's just not for me. It's like, oh yeah, you're up here, man. And not all these paths. I put one path up here, but these are all exit points, and there's a bunch of different paths to go, and all different ways to do it. And you know, you get stuck in these ticking traps sometimes. And down here, like, you get stuck down there, and it's like you think that this is it. It's like, no, it's not it. You gotta make the run for the top. If you got the gumption, and you feel like this is unacceptable, and I don't see that's what I'm saying. And it's a very small number of people, by the way. And it's self-selecting, so I'm not trying to be elitist about this. It's like, how much dicking do you want to do around? How much dicking do you want to go around down here? Most people can't last 3 years. This is a grinder. This is a meat grinder down here.
From personal experience, having worked as a software engineer at a really big company, the startup work is a million times more interesting, although it's going to be more risky and just for a different type of person. And
it's not different. It's the same crap. It's just you're doing more different pieces of it, right? But it's all the same crap. It's like it's not like, oh my God, I'm doing blueberry mushrooms on the moon. It's like, no, it's still code, dude. It's all just code. It's just different APIs, different ways that people have thought about doing it. It's like, can you do something better? Do you actually need that? Is it too expensive? It's like all that other stuff you have to think about now. It's like, oof.
Reason number 4 is quality of life. So I mentioned that the big reason why people were going to the tech is the quality of life of being a software engineer. Well, that is also declining for a couple of reasons. First of all, a big perk of working for a big tech company, especially during the pandemic, was remote work. You could earn these high salaries while not having to commute, not having to go to...
Man, I've been doing remote work for a long, long time. So I know these people like, oh, I just got here and they got the remote work because you should have been in the office. You really did need to be in the office there, because you were just not going to be able to handle working on your own, because doing remote work is painful. It's hard. It's hard. And you have to have your life kind of set up for it. You have to be the kind of person that can deal with that. So I've been doing this since the 80s, 90s, remote work stuff for people. I mean, before they even called it that, I was just like, you have a modem I could upload this to, or can I download this to your PC? And we clicked them together, and it was like, oh, I got the remote work during the pandemic. It's like, no. For people that, okay, so you have to, the thing is you have to take responsibilities, right? You have to pick. You can't have everything be handed to you and just check a box, right? You have to be so sick of dealing with these environments, right? After being in there, if you've been in them for, I couldn't take it right away. So I had to figure out a different way out I couldn't do it. It will depend on the environment. The first couple that were doing the adventure-driven development, Silicon Beach Software and CAS Tools, both those, it was super fun to go in because everyone was on that tip, and everyone's in this. There was none of this leftover stuff like, oh, work-life balance and just salary. It's like, I didn't give a shit. We were all going after this other thing. It's like we got paid well for it. We were just surprised we were being paid at all for dicking around with this stuff. Like, it was like, oh man, this is so much fun. But everyone there was on that same level. They weren't trying to do this work-life balance and you got bigger salary equity. Like, there was a little bit of that, but most of it was like, we'll make up for it some other way. This is too much fun. I don't want to go back to this goddamn tunnels of fake agile doom or the tar pits of like box ticking stuff. It's like,
the office, but now
some people just can't deal with that stuff.
that is changing. As the economy is changing, companies now have more leverage and they're able to force employees to go back to the office, which is removing this big perk at a lot of companies. Also, the big amenities and the amazing lifestyle of a software engineer is kind of going away. Because in the
Well, for some people it is. For some of the people that really didn't earn it and were kind of really not into the software engineering thing, they want to do this other playing thing, which is totally normal and legit. In your 20s, you should be taking around and playing around outside and goofing off all over the place. Yeah, and I'm lucky that I was able to like quit my company and drop out of that and to do no tech for 10 years, 7 years, whatever, how long I did it for a while. And I did that venturing stuff. It's like, oh yeah, okay, I got it, I bought it. Yeah, it's fun, I guess. I mean, it has its end, and I get it, it's fun. But there's comes a moment it's like, okay, I gotta go make some more money. I gotta go do something. I want to try something else. I got some idea, whatever. Then you have to get back into this. It's just this work-life balance thing is just not. That's not how this stuff was made, man. That's not how this stuff was made. That's not how these computer companies. These guys were definitely not work-life balance. They were work, and then not work, and then work is called. There's a book called Die Broke book series. It's 2 books, Die Broke and Live Rich. And Die Broke is really is about this stuff. It's like you have to take miniature vacations. Like if you're expecting everything to be solid and you're being tech and everything be the same thing ever, it's like, dude, you're barking up the wrong tree. So it's a little. This guy's obviously, he's young, so he hasn't seen these cycles yet. But you see a couple cycles, like, oh yeah. And most people just like bail out, like, nah, I'm gonna do something else. I'm going to real estate or drop shipping.
the past, we were literally in a situation where these companies were hoarding employees just so that their competitors wouldn't hire them, and they were.
Yes, this is common practice. Well, it's well known in the business thing. This is something you do at certain moments of time, right? This is and this is the things like they're cheating. They're cheating. It's like yeah. Anytime there's a lot of money running around, there's gonna be some cheaters.
Many reports of people literally admitting that they were hired to do absolutely nothing.
Yes, they were. Look, man. If there's someone else coming up the mountain up here, and you can acquire them and put them into a silver horde that's then now pushing up your mountain. Oh yeah, or if they're too dangerous, they can't get along with. Just don't go attack the same. We want to attack the dragon and get the gold cup. We don't want. Could you just sit aside? And if you can be bribed, oh yeah, that's great. If I instead of competing against you, spending $10 million, I can just give you $1 million and you're good. That's a deal for me.
So that a competitor would hire them. Now, in this economy, where it's much harder to get into these companies, this is no longer the case, and the companies now have the leverage again. So they
because the technology is now distributed out, and now it's at a different level. So the big companies can't do it, but you can. And if you're listed in this far in the video, it's for 33 minutes. You are the kind of person that probably could, if they put their mind to it and go through all this bullshit down here. And understand all the efficiencies in here, and then also keep your eyes open for other opportunities as you're going, and then start it on the side, start some experiments on the side somehow, some way, where you don't have to quit your main gig and blow it all on this thing, where you can see at least have some traction, something, is there anything there at all? And you might have to do a bunch of those. And you're still willing to go up there, and eventually you'll get to the point where like you can make an attack run at something bigger, or at the thing itself. Yeah, that's the whole point. No one's ever going to tell you this. They will never tell you this, but this is what they're doing. Even if they can't even verbalize it, the companies you want to go work at, this is what they're doing. So, and they're never going to tell you how to do it. It's implied.
don't have to offer as chill of a work-life balance. They don't have to offer these crazy perks anymore. And a big other reason is that the quality of life in these big Western cities like San Francisco, New York is declining quickly. Crime is going up, cost of living, inflation is sky high. The whole of the West is sort of
Oh yeah, it was all fake to start with. So what do you expect? Come on.
declining right now. So more and more people are actually opting to quit their jobs entirely in the West and move to places like Asia and work remotely or start their business or freelance or something like that. That's exactly what I did as well. A lot of people are realizing that you can make more money, save more money, and have a better life outside of these major Western cities.
Some people can. Some people really need all that stuff, right? Some people need all that stuff.
By simply choosing to work remotely, perhaps for a lower gross salary, but much higher savings and a much higher quality of life. And reason number 4, people are starting their own companies. So the thing is, working a corporate job was never really the way to get rich. Like usually, if you want to grind away until you're 40, 50 years old at some big company, like you can get rich that way. But if you want to get rich quickly, always the best way to do that was to start a business. We were just in this sort
It's also a way to lose money quickly, by the way. Just by the way. Especially if you go, oh, I'm going to get myself some VC and supercharge this thing. Oh, man, that's a good way to go broke.
of anomaly situation where tech was paying so incredibly much and it was so easy to get in, relatively speaking, that a lot of people were simply becoming millionaires simply by working a job. This is not the norm. This is the anomaly. And now that that anomaly has closed down, the people who are really motivated and really capable and really just want to get rich are more and more choosing to just start their own companies rather than working one of these jobs. And of course, running a company is not everyone's cup of tea. This is for different types of people, but often the same types of people who are capable enough to get into one of these companies are also the same types of people who would be capable enough to start and succeed as a business owner. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's like, but the thing is, you have to do all this other junk, all this crap that you don't want to do to make that happen, right? So that's the barrier, right? So it's either lack of courage or lack of like creativity or lack of just heart or just don't believe in it, or you just haven't spent enough time dicking around in here. Dick around on all these little damn things down here, or you're in a silver horde dev agency and you're like, I could probably do some of these businesses myself, until you get to that point where you kind of see it's like, maybe you shouldn't yet, and then just wait, and then if you have a chance, you go up it, and you know, you might fail, and that's part of the whole thing, man. That's it.
Okay, so let's take a bit of a reality check. This video might seem like negative or like I'm hating on big tech or something like that.
No, I'll be negative. He's being too positive. I'm being negative.
First of all, I'm simply reporting what people are reportedly doing, not saying what you should do. You should do whatever is best for you based on your situation, based on your preference.
No, you should do what I say.
And things like this. But we obviously also still need to understand that tech is still an amazing job. And I always say,
That is. So that is still is the business of the future. Still, you're still lots of opportunities, lots of things around that could be. You can apply your technical skills to solve somebody's problem. I don't know what they are. You have to find that out. That's a part of this thing as well. It's like a lot of this stuff is self-directed, and if you're not the kind of person that wants to do it, if you're the preserver type, that you probably haven't watched this part. But if you're like a destroyer creator type, it's kind of in your blood. You'll eventually probably do it anyway. This is the mindset that it takes to make it happen, right? You have to be willing to go through a bunch of crap, but this is where it makes you happy because you're going after your thing, right? And there's no time lost on this journey up here. That's the other thing too. It's like, it feels like there's opportunity cost, but everything you learn on this journey going up here, which is not the silver horde, every single project is the same as the last one. When you're doing other weird shit that's like, then you haven't done before, you don't really do I care? Should I care about this? Is there a different way? Do I have to do it the way they do it down here? Is there another way I could do it up here? Like Woz is like the whole thing about he came from this environment with massive, like other than the calculator division, there was like computer stuff was like the more chips the better, and his calculator division was like the smaller, the less chips the better, and that's where he came from, and that's it. That was his value add. Everything he was doing, they were doing down here. Was doing down here was like he made them aware, like, oh, there's another way to do this where I could cut costs tremendously. He wasn't even thinking they would cut these guys off. He's just like, how can I get a hold of some of this stuff that I've heard about, and like I would like to use myself in my own time without having to ask anybody else. And that's where it came up here. That was the idea that drove these cats. That drove these guys right here. These two guys right here. So where is it? Where's that photo of those two characters? So he's like, I know a lot of people are like him, right? I know I can see it because I'm around them all the time. I'm hanging out with them all the time. There's a bunch of dudes like this, and this guy's like, I just kind of want to do it for myself. It's like, okay, we can harness that. That can be harnessable, right? But but the Woz was still this preserver type. He was just not willing to let go of a lot of old ideas, especially with the minimal chit set thing. It's like, yeah, we have to kind of let that go stuff go now. And we're going to move up a level and do it the software stuff, make it simple, that accessible. He's like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. It's like, well, maybe it's, you know, you're not going to fit in. It's the way it goes, man.
Of any job out there, it is probably the best job that you're ever going to work. But yes, it's now harder to get in. Yes, it's no longer this crazy anomaly situation as it was in the past, but that doesn't mean that it's not a great job. And if you want to get into tech, you really want to become a software engineer, you should still do that. But you should just understand that some of the things that were true a few years ago about big tech or software engineering in general are not necessarily as true anymore as they used to be. To me,
well, it goes up and down, and that environment is zero interest rate, and then the pandemic, which is related, covering up the same issues. Okay, so whatever the financial system does, economic system does, you can still be after if it crashes or whatever the hell happens to it. If you're solving people's problems, you're going to keep up with the inflation rate, right? So whatever problem that you're trying to solve, you're going to try a bunch of different things, right? And eventually some of them are going to hit and some of them are going to, if you keep going, eventually if you keep going, eventually, I think you just keep rolling the dice, you're going to throw 20 eventually, right? How many dice do you want to throw? Like, that's the other thing too. It's like I have this little quote down here that I need to expand on about overpay. Right, here it is. It must be acknowledged that conquerors always overpay for their victory. Right? What do I mean by that? It's like when you're going on this journey here, you don't know how big these humps are. But you have to keep going. If you want to try and find the cave opening, you have to keep going, right? Until you find the cave opening, and you don't know how long it is. You don't know. So this is where the intuition comes in after a while. So after burning yourself on going up these false trails, you're like, damn, I should get better at this trail riding thing. I should get this trail forging thing. How can I get better at like noticing what people want, what they don't want? And that's a whole journey of stuff that's not technical. It's totally psychological. Like where can you apply your particular skill set and your interests into an area that you can provide value for somebody else? It's so strange what those things are because human beings are strange, right? But saving time, saving money, making money, giving time back somehow, making time more enjoyable.
Software engineering was always a stepping stone. It was the best job I could work to learn amazing skills, to have a kind of lifestyle that would allow me to have the time to build something on the side and eventually turn that into my full-time thing. And that is exactly what I ended up doing. If you want to keep up with new news happening in the tech industry, I recommend you sign up to my free newsletter down below.
Okay, yeah. So that's I just want to give you my response to that kind of video and like how adventure-driven development fits into it. And I'm Chris. I think I'll give you a like and subscribe and drop a comment. And you can tell me I'm an idiot or great or I don't care. Just give me a comment. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.